Everybody, my name is Marilee Ruiz and I'm currently working for the Career Services Office of the University of Pretoria as an employability expert. I will be conducting a presentation today on some very relevant employability advice, considering all the recent events in terms of COVID. I just also want to confirm that this will be a recorded session, so just bear with me. I'm just going to start the presentation. Okay, just bear with me for a second. Guys, I'm just going to enlarge it for a second. All right, perfect. Okay, so I have introduced myself and let's get going. Okay, so the content that will be covered today, I'm just going to quickly briefly go through this. So I will be discussing the career services offerings. I'm going to be playing a short video explaining the career services offerings that we provide to students and companies and so forth to give you a better idea. We will be discussing the challenges faced as a result of COVID-19 and what has been the implications. We're sitting now with implications of basically a year of COVID and what has been the consequences in terms of employability. How has this affected graduates? How has COVID affected the South African population and the employment situation, as well as how has COVID affected employers and their recruitment strategies? Also, what can we expect with this new normal? Things seems like it has changed, and how are we navigating ourselves in this new normal? Then we will continue on quickly with changes that has occurred within the last year and to be expected for the future in terms of recruitment and career planning and all those sort of important things, as well as what positives that come out of this. It's not just negatives, and we definitely should not see this only in terms of negative. Also, what would career services say? What would I say in terms of some advice in terms of dealing with this new normal? And then we'll quickly talk about some of the strategies implemented by UP's Career Services Office in terms of employability. It's a little bit of a repetition in terms of the video that I'll be playing, but I will be touching on that again, as well as ending off with the importance of a well-rounded graduate and why is this important. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so I'm just going to start off by playing this video. It will take a few seconds, so just bear with me. Just going to enlarge the screen quickly and play from the start. Right, there you go. I'm just going to pause this. Just bear with me for a second. Okay, let me just exit the full screen. Perfect. Okay, so let's continue on with the presentation. Okay, so I hope that gave you a very good idea in terms of what Career Services offers and what we do for our students and graduates. And I will be touching on some of these services throughout the presentation. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about challenges faced as a result of COVID-19. Now, as mentioned previously, it's basically been a year now, and I think it was quite a shock for everyone. I think to adjust to everything, we have been basically forced to make amendments and changes, and basically something we will be touching on later again, but just forcing the job market and employers and businesses to start doing things differently, which is not necessarily always a bad thing. I mean, life is all about change, isn't it? So let's continue on and go through some of those challenges that we are facing due to COVID now, specifically graduates. What is the current situation for graduates? So let's just talk a little bit about what is happening. Okay, so COVID-19 has impacted the world economy on basically a massive scale. There's definitely been repercussions, and unfortunately, almost no one can escape these repercussions. So how do we deal with it? Basically, how has the unemployment situation been affected? So obviously, we are in a global recession, and unemployment definitely, for the most part, has increased just about everywhere across the globe. Okay, so it's definitely an increase of unemployment. In terms of graduate recruitment, the research suggests that across the board, that is now globally, definitely there has also been an increase in unemployment for graduates. But we will touch now a little bit on the South African situation in a minute. Now, with regards to what can we expect, what happened in 2020 for employers. So basically for employers, again, this has been a very unprecedented time. It was very difficult for employers to know what to do because of the uncertainty. So they basically, a lot of the plans had to be placed on hold for 2020, 2021, and or some immediate changes had to take effect. So, for example, some roles that they might have taken in 20 or so graduates, now they could only take in 10, just as a result of the global issues with the economy, the recession, as well as the uncertainty of how long will COVID last and what all the implications will be. So that is the situation a little bit in terms of the employers, which again obviously affects the graduates and students and graduates planning their careers. Another thing that it's definitely impacted on would be those, and this is again the young group of individuals, mostly 18 to 30, who were supposed to enter the job market in 2020. So definitely they've been affected in 2021, and we don't know, unfortunately, 100% what the future holds, but the research suggests, and it's anticipated that this trend, unfortunately, will be continuing for the moment. All right, so let's move on. So South African population challenges in a more broader sense. So overall, it's definitely official that there's been a further 1% increase in unemployment rate in South Africa. So we all know that we had problems before, especially under the youth, again around 18 to 30, 32 group, and unfortunately there's definitely been an additional 1% added onto that problem. And also, but with regards to the South African graduate situation, the positive thing for now is it's still recommended and definitely proven that having a tertiary degree at a university is definitely still one of the best things you can do to kind of give yourself just that edge. So it's absolutely still very much a good thing that if you've got a degree or a postgraduate degree, especially from a university, and then it helps if the university is reputable and a good university as well. So definitely that's the situation for graduates in South Africa. So the unemployment rate for graduates up until this point has not changed significantly at all. It's still about 1.3% in general, according to stats. Okay, so that is a good thing. That is really a good thing. Then let us continue on. With regards to more specifically the South African population and COVID and the specific repercussions for South Africa, based on the recent feedback, it seems like 1.3%, about 1.3% of the respondents said that they will not be returning to their previous employments after, the lockdowns and things like that. And so obviously there's definitely bad repercussions in terms of careers and in terms of employment. And also about 2% of these respondents said at the time that they are not sure, they are very uncertain about whether they will be able to go back to work. So to give you just an idea of where we stand currently with the employment situation. So let's continue on. So in terms of employer challenges concerning COVID, okay, and more broadly, career services as well as students and graduates and everybody else is affected. But let's talk about, as mentioned previously, there's been a lot of uncertainty for employers for so many years. Businesses have been doing business and recruiting in a specific way, and a lot of changes weren't necessarily necessary. Now it is. So the minute COVID happened, companies had to basically change their recruitment strategies or place their recruitment strategies on hold, and or once they've changed it, probably reduce some of their goals in terms of the recession, in terms of the implications of COVID. So what has happened really? Again, like as I mentioned, and this kind of goes along with what I said earlier in terms of, the unemployment for graduates not being that significant at the moment. It's reasonable to expect, and it's reasonable to say that there will be a place for graduates, and graduates are still relevant in the recruitment process, as well as, in terms of companies hiring. So in that sense, I think, this is at least somewhat of a comfort for university students and graduates. That being said, the biggest change that has happened, and it's quite a massive change, in fact, but I do think that We have had a little bit of experience with this change due to the Fees-Must-Fall situation that has prepared us for this situation. But the biggest change is everything is going virtual and everything is online. So that is just the current setup, and that's the new norm for us all. So in terms of what companies have communicated, absolutely a lot of the interviews are now happening online. It's not face-to-face necessarily anymore, at least for now. And again, we don't know what the future brings, but again, these sort of strategies will just allow, and changes will allow for a lot more flexibility for the future. And also, that being said, that they are also moving a lot of the assessment centers online as well. So we can definitely expect, you know, a new normal, you know, things like working from home. So how does the new normal look like? So yes, a lot of changes has happened, but what positives can we also gain from this, especially from an employer graduate perspective? So basically, one positive that definitely, okay, yes, a lot of industries halted, struggled, downsized, and whatever happened with all of them. But there's been a lot of negative consequences for COVID. But that being said, there's also been a growth noted in a lot of other industries, for example, in the medical field, scientifically, technically. There is talks about, you know, the need, specifically in, you know, first world countries, but irrespective, there will be a lot bigger need, a larger need for social workers, psychologists, and so forth as well. Not to mention quite a lot of other areas as well. So I guess it's good for students to keep, you know, their eyes open, to also take note of these changes in terms of, you know, job availability and criteria and so forth. So also, it's important to note that there is some changes in terms of how careers is transforming and how those models are looking like. So, for example, we've been very much used to the idea of a permanent position and you know, that sort of security that we get from that. But as a result of COVID, but even before COVID, there's been a big growth in terms of the gig economy. And so that is definitely something that the world of work is moving towards too. And this sort of setup would just mean for us and for employers and everybody else that things might change in terms of how we plan our careers and how we navigate and basically negotiate our careers and protection and things like that in terms of our careers, because the gig economy is noted for, you know, not necessarily permanent work, it's more temporary based types of work and that sort of things. So just to give you an idea, and also to know that there might be some changes now as a result of COVID as well, in terms of how the world of work will look like in the future. So certain people, I mean, these changes which require flexibility, creativity, and those sort of things would definitely be suitable for certain types of individuals with certain characteristics. Obviously, those that can adapt well, those that are creative, and those that, you know, can deal with things changing from 1 minute to the next. Well, not so drastically, but I think the idea, the notion that I'm trying to get across is that this is not all bad. and that we need to just be aware of what's happening and adjust to the new normal. So let's just see what else. So other positives and changes that we can mention. So obviously, like we said, adaptability and flexibility would be very important. And also, it's important more than ever before for you to create a strong brand. And basically with brand, I would like each and everyone to see themselves as a brand. What sort of brand are we putting out there? What are we putting on social media? What are we putting on our CV? What are we putting on LinkedIn? When a company goes search us on Facebook, or what can they find? So just how do we brand ourselves? It's going to be very important to be able to set yourself apart from the competition in the future. Soft skills, and this has been confirmed with research that recruiters are saying that soft skills are becoming ever increasingly more important. I know that the University of Pretoria Career Services have been focusing on soft skills for quite a number of years now. Basically, what this comes down to is a degree is not enough anymore. Having, extremely high marks or good marks is also not good enough. A lot more is needed. Soft skills, transferable skills are really required, and those are the sort of things that the companies are looking out for now. And as we mentioned, some of these skills would include creativity and community, the way you communicate, leadership skills. We talked about flexibility, all those sort of soft skills that you need to be successful. And those are the skills that you usually are not directly taught at university level, but that those are the skills that the companies are still looking for, because those are the skills that will make a difference in the world of work when you are being appointed in that next position. So again, just the importance of soft skills. Basically, in terms of advice, I'm just going to stress this again. Soft skills, very important to kind of like work on those soft skills, and that can be done obviously, and this comes to my next point, by getting some work experience. Voluntary work is work experience, so please, voluntary work, the more relevant the better, but whatever work experience you can get is always good to have some work experience. So and we are encouraging students from first year up to make sure that they are starting to gain work experience and building those CVs. Okay, but I will be talking a little bit about that more towards the end of the presentation as well. Okay, so also just one last point here, just to broadening the net. I think, and I get a lot of students that come into my office, and sometimes I have students that would really just want to work for one particular company, and if it's not that company, they just, the whole world is just shattered. But I will say this, it's very important, especially now, and other recruiters are stressing this, that we might have to just start looking more broadly in terms of our careers and where we start off, and the path we take to where we actually want to go to. So just keep that in mind with regards to the whole career planning and recruitment process. All right, so I hope that helps in terms of giving you guys an idea of what can be expected in terms of employability for the new normal. Okay, so let's quickly talk about UP strategies to ensure employability. So I did play the video earlier, and I think that's going to really kind of already give you the idea of what we are doing. But just to kind of stress what we are doing so that you are well aware in terms of the office and the function of the office is basically the following. So again, as mentioned previously, I think the biggest goal we've got in our office is to make sure our students are employable, that they have the skills required to be successful once they step into their next working position. Okay, so that's sort of why we're there to support, and for that reason we are doing all of the following services and roles. All right, so just to kind of stress, we've got like dedicated, passionate staff that's working in the career services office right now, and we work very closely together with the staff, the staff, which is us, our co-workers, employers, as well as the recruiters, the companies that want to recruit you guys, as well as then you guys that we're serving the students to assist you guys with your employability. Then one of the things we do is we host career fairs. Now, for the first time ever this year, we will be hosting virtual career fairs, and we've got quite a number of career fairs, and I hope that some of you have attended some of these career fairs in the past. So, for example, and again, the point, for those of you that don't know, the point of a career fair is to provide a platform, usually physically, but now it will be virtual, for students and companies to interact about graduate or student recruitment. Okay, it basically provides a platform. So this year it will be a virtual career fair, and some of the career fairs that we will be hosting will be the general career fair, accounting career fair, law career fair. We'll have an economic, a BCom career fair. We will also have an engineering and IT career fair. Something together with us, as well as other faculties, there will be an agri career fair, as far as I'm aware. I know that there will definitely be an actuarial career fair as well. And also internal auditing, there's something in the woodworks for that as well, just to give you guys an idea. So let's move on. We also cater and assist with company vacancies, of course. So we would advertise whatever relevant vacancies there are, and it can be really ranging, basically catering for all nine faculties with all the different degrees that we've got at the University of Pretoria. So we are advertising at the vacancies and trying to make available as many as possible vacancies for our students and graduates. And as mentioned previously, but I'm just going to stress it, we are trying to get the message across the last few years that it's extremely important to start from first year up, if you can, to start planning your career and building your career, to have certain things that you want to place on your CV to be a strong brand. Okay, that being said, the platforms we use at the moment is the Career Services website, which you can find on the UP website under current students, prospective students. You can find us there. And our other platform that we avail for our students is Tax Careers. Now, this is a platform where you can go search for certain vacancies. You can actually book appointments for one-on-one CV sessions. You can actually book events. For example, the virtual career fairs will be actually happening on Tax Careers as well. You can follow companies. There's all sorts of like really amazing things that you can do on Tax Careers, and if you are not aware of Tax Careers, I hope you are on there, then you can find it on ClickUp. You should be able to find it on ClickUp. Okay, so let's move on. So in terms of employability, I think this has been touched on quite significantly, especially in the videos, some of it, but let me just stress some of the other things that we are focusing on in terms of enhancing student, especially obviously in this instance, UP student employability. So we've got the Ready for Work program, and for those of you, and I really hope that you have heard about it, but if not heard about it as well, also completed it. It's basically a project that has been initiated with Career Services and Enterprises UP. You can also find this on ClickUp, and it basically provides different courses that is going to bridge the gap in terms of giving you the skills that you need to be effective and successful in the world of work. So those soft skills we were talking about and a lot more that you need to be a success in your future job. Because there is a little bit of a complaint happening in terms of companies that come back to certain institutions and having the concern that I feel that a lot of students and or the youth do not have the skills, that transferable skills that they need to be effective in their jobs. And this is one way we are trying to really address this this gap that is currently happening. So if not done ready for work, please go ahead and make sure you do it. You can do it at your own pace and at your own time. Okay, so, and you can get a certificate, you can add it on your CV. We also, we also provide is an annual recruitment booklet. It is quite an endeavor and I work with that. And the point of the recruitment booklet is to provide an amazing resource for students and companies. Companies particularly focus on branding themselves to students, but more specifically those that are interested in recruiting students and graduates. So this is the booklet that we avail, and it usually comes out in it's in May, and we will also in there give you all sorts of very relevant and interesting resources to increase your employability in there as well. So another thing that we are assisting with at the moment, it's a very new project, and I would be surprised if you have heard about us providing this, but I started in the second half last year with this. We are availing for some students at the moment the opportunity to increase their employability and complete some training through LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is currently providing amazing training and so many training resources to enhance employability. So at the moment, I select the training that I'd like my students to complete, and we're currently doing another project training opportunity, and I've got about 70 students enrolled in this training at the moment. And again, it's great because it will show on LinkedIn as well as you can add it on your CV. And again, the whole point of it is to make yourself more desirable and more employable, but also to give you those skills to make you more employable. So that would be LinkedIn. And then obviously we're also providing one-on-one and group CV sessions as well as interview prep. We're advertising on Tix Careers, and you can make appointments on there as well. So we are on a day-to-day basis prepping. So if you do need assistance with your CV, or if you are going for an interview, contact us, but do so as soon as you can. All right, so we're also providing basically webinars by external experts. So we would get external experts, let's say somebody from LinkedIn or a career coach or a company that would like to communicate and kind of provide students with, expert advice. So at the moment, we're definitely doing it. At the moment, every Friday, there is a session at around 12 that we're advertising on Tix Career every week. So that's another thing that we are currently also doing. And just to also give you guys a broader idea of what we are also doing, but this is quite new, but it's really good, as well as what we're planning. So we've also got one dedicated person that's focusing specifically on internships and providing internships now for our students as well, which is just an amazing initiative, and also just helping to increase that whole employability goals that we've got. And now we've also hopefully recruiting still this year a whole new position just to focus on mentorships as well. And again, mentorships is also a good way to gain some real guidance, but also if you're a mentor, you know, again, it looks good on your CV. It's just also very rewarding depending on who you are to also engage in something like that. All right, so I hope that really gives you guys an idea in terms of what UP is currently doing in terms of helping with employability. All right, so let's move on. Okay, so is it important and why is it important to be a well-rounded graduate? Okay. So yes, you've guessed it. It definitely is very important. But it's not so much important that, you know, that you're just going to do 10 million activities, random activities. That's not the point. That's not really what recruiters are looking for. What they're looking for is a well-rounded approach. So yes, they would like you to see that you're involved, but they would like you to see that you have put some thought into it, that it's to a certain extent relevant, and what sort of things have you learned while doing and partaking in these sorts of activities. So let's go have a look. So like I said, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality of what you've been doing. So it's a good idea to be strategic. You're not just going to drop in everywhere, doing everything that you can, and it just doesn't make sense. Rather than that, as they say, consider the 3 R's to be well-rounded, and that would be considering the notion of responsibility, resilience, and resourcefulness. Okay, so taking that into consideration, how can one go about starting this process? And again, like I said earlier, we are really stressing that students need to start early. So if you don't have a lot on your CV, whether you're 3rd year or 1st year, but the earlier the better. It's time to get involved. It's time to build your CV. It's time to build that brand. So again, start off, I would say, what are you studying? Why are you studying? And are you passionate about it? How can you get involved in that area? Okay, if not in that area, this is a good place to start off. But if not in that area, let's say you are involved in somewhere in that area. What else can you do? What are you passionate? What's your passions? And what can you get involved in that is going to say and kind of get across that 3R notions of resourcefulness. So definitely put some thought into it, responsibility, and like we said, resilience. So selectiveness, considering relevance, if you can go and consider in terms of your degree and so forth. The project that you are doing, is it showing goal orientation? Is it indicating leadership? Are you assisting others? I mean, is basically the idea coming across that this is not just a very selfish thing that you're doing. So, for example, let's say I play basketball, hypothetically, right? Professional basketball and so on. But maybe I can get involved with getting previously disadvantaged people or disabled people to a certain extent, and kind of bring them in and help them to kind of start a project where they are involved with what I am doing, maybe some sort of charity initiative, whatever the case might be, all these sort of things that you can think of that is making sense, that is goal directed, and that you can get involved with is a good idea. You know, volunteering at different places and those sort of things. So I hope that makes sense. So another thing that really falls in line with this well-rounded graduate notion would be part-time work or vacation work. And I think this was mentioned previously, and if not, it should be mentioned, that this is one of the best ways to overcome this whole situation now with COVID. is to get some work experience where possible. And again, the whole thing about work experience and the types of skills that you will be gaining would be just so beneficial, and it says so much for a potential employer. So let's say hypothetically you do work as a waiter, and I've had many people ask me this question, you know, should I put it on that I was a waiter, or should I put on the fact that I volunteered here or there? Yes, you should. Absolutely, you should be putting this on your CV because it is giving information across about you, and it's also teaching you so many skills that they want to see in the person that they are recruiting. So for example, when you're working hypothetically as a waiter, it teaches you skills like time management. You know, when you've got a job and you've got your school and you've got this and this and that responsibility, it's teaching you to be able to balance work-life balance, time manage. It's teaching you professionalism. It's teaching you how to communicate. It's teaching you how to be professional. And these are the skills that is extremely important for companies. So I hope that kind of gives you an idea about extramural activities and well-rounded graduates, and why that is also very important for employability specifically. So this is the end of the presentation. I really hope that this presentation gives you a very good idea about what is the implications for COVID and employability, why employability is so important, and what you can do in this current circumstances, what you can expect for the future, and why it's important to be a well-rounded person, as well as what we, the career services, offer for you as a student and a graduate. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.